And so to avoid having famine, the people would do these festivals that would be symbolic of how they could try to have some control over what would happen with their crops. And so the Lughnasa is just one way to celebrate giving that offering to the sun god Lu, and then being able to secure hopefully a bountiful harvest. So thinking of what it is in your life that you can offer so that you can ensure that bountiful harvest. Because to bring things in, we have to let go of things in our life. And our society is now at such that sometimes we want to bring in and have more and acquire more and have more than the next person and be better than the other person. And instead of that, what can you get rid of? How can you clear space? How can you let go? How can you bless others so that you may then open so that you can then receive more blessings in preparation for the harvest? And by doing so, by offering to others, then you're helping their harvest as well. And what better way to enjoy the harvest and to celebrate than to give to others? So just one of our modern ways that we can celebrate Lughnasa. And there are always certain colors that are associated with the different holidays. So with Lughnasa, if you think of the colors of the season, what colors are you seeing out there? You're seeing harvest colors, bright yellow, gold, green, brown, orange, all of those bright, sunny, but turning to autumn colors, because we're just starting to get into that. And Lughnasa was traditionally celebrated on July 31st to August 1st. So it was like sunset July 31st and then sunrise on August 1st. And we've seen that mirrored with some of the other holidays where it's from sunset to sunrise. And then it started to change and it became the Garland Sunday was one of the nicknames for Lughnasa because it became the first Sunday in August instead. And there were a couple of other names for it when it transformed to that first Sunday in August. Now, if you look at the more Christianized, the English version of Lughnasa, that's called Lammas, and that would be celebrated, it would vary anywhere from August 1st to September 1st, depending on the region, and I'm not sure, what was going on in the area, but they would have that whole flexibility of the month that would determine how they would celebrate it. And there are certain herbs as well that are associated with Lughnasa. So just as you have the colors and the herbs and the stones, these are all things that if you're doing a celebration, if you're doing a ritual or a celebration or a festival, these are great things to incorporate too into it. So think of how you can bring those colors in. I like to bring that in with what I wear. So today I wore kind of that maize colored skirt and then the autumn rust color for the shirt, and then I like to bring in the sky blue because we're in that in between, so we still have that beautiful summer sky with the bright blue, and then we have those autumn colors coming in, so kind of merging those together as a way of offering the corn as they would do traditionally, and then offering the bright blue like as in a sky or a cornflower or something like that, and it merges those two to ensure that fruitful harvest. So those are just things to consider as you're planning your own festival. Some of the herbs that are and fruits and things that were associated, grains of course, because this is a holiday of the first grains, so it's the bread is really big at this time of year. It's all of the grains, those are the first crops that come up. And then sunflowers as well, a really, really big symbol of this holiday is the sunflower. Heather, hollyhock, grapes, pears, myrtle, acacia, all of those are really big this time of year because we're just coming into the season for that, for pears and heather and grains, all of that. Whatever in your area is starting to come up this time of year would be symbolic to you, depending on where you live. Stones for this time of year, again, mirror those same colors. So peridot would be a really big stone for this holiday. Citrine is another one. Aventurine and tourmaline are also really big stones. So if you're doing a festivity at home celebrating this, then you might want to put one of those stones or more of those stones on the table, and you might want to have maybe a sunflower on the table, maybe some of those stones dressed in the colors of the season, and then pull some of those first crops and then have that on the table. And as you think about what it is one habit maybe that you want to let go of, and then maybe something in your house that you want to let go of, what can you clear out to give away as kind of an offering? And when you eliminate a habit that you don't want to have in your life anymore, essentially you're offering that to yourself because you're clearing that out of yourself so that you can be the best person that you can be. So it's a nice way to honor by offering that to yourself, that challenge of giving something up so that you can fill in, so you have space for the harvest coming in. And dancing around the bonfire, again, really big with this one. That seems to be a theme for most of the holidays, pretty much almost all of the holidays. We have dancing around the bonfires. This one especially, they would have athletic games too. So there were the religious ceremonies traditionally, and there were also athletic games. There was a lot of mountain climbing and going to the tops of the peaks. And because when you think about it, what better time of year? You don't want to do that in the winter as much. So this is that perfect time of year, and then going to the summit of the mountains so that you can prove that you have that vigor, you have that life within you, and then getting closer to the sun. As you climb the mountain, you're getting closer to the sun to honor the sun god Lu, and just bring in those blessings too. And it's just right between, as I mentioned, right between summer and autumn. There's a Welsh holiday that is associated too, and I'm not sure if I can even pronounce that one correctly, but it's Gwylawst, Gwylawst. So that would be the Welsh version. This is the Celtic version, and then the English version is Lammas. So feasting, of course, is very big. All of the holidays have feasting because it's about merriment and feasting and honoring where you are, wherever you are within the wheel, wherever you are within your life. Honor where you're at and celebrate that with the village of the people that you choose to have around you. And matchmaking was specifically really big at this one too, which I find very interesting. Matchmaking and trading, and if you think about it, matchmaking makes sense in the fall because we're coming into the winter where people go into their homes more, and then you come out and you're more fertile in the spring. So matchmaking in the autumn would make sense for the single people out there. Visits to the holy wells was also very big. That's been Christianized too. That was one of the things that they've taken from the Celtic holiday and continued on in their own tradition, was the visits to the holy wells and the pilgrimages up the mountains. That also came from this holiday. Offerings of the first fruits. A lot of times people would offer corn as protection for the harvest, and then the flowers asking for growth, for the continued growth for the harvest. And then Lammas was interesting because that was to mark the wheat harvest, and that's a little bit more of a Christianized version of it. And with that, one of the traditions that was customary is they would bake a loaf of bread from the first of the wheat harvest, and they would take that to the church or to the barn, wherever they wanted to bless a place. It often could be multiple places, but they would take the loaf, they would break it into quarters, and they would put a quarter of it at each of the corners of the building. So if it was in a barn, then those would be offerings to each of the corners, northeast, southwest, and to all of the spirits of those directions, to ask that that entire farm be protected for the harvest. So and the same thing when they would do that in a church, it would just be asking for the whole congregation to be blessed by honoring giving that bread out. So that's something you can do at home too if you want to bake a loaf of bread or get fresh baked bread, either way, and then put it at the out parts of your property at each of the corners, asking for protection and asking for a good harvest, and then the animals and all of that can enjoy eating that first part of the harvest. In England, a lot of tenants were required to give their first grains to their landlords as well. So just an interesting expectation that they had. The blessing of the first fruits was another name for the Lammas holiday. And that was both honored in Eastern and Western churches in England. That was traditionally on the 6th of August. So it's interesting, we have all these different dates for this specific holiday, but they're all the same thing, but there's quite a little bit of variance within when they wanted to do it. So thinking again about how can you apply this to your life? How do you want to apply this to your life today? You can go with the traditional Celtic version if you want to really delve into it and have the stones there, have the colors, and think about how you want to honor nature, how you want to honor the area all around you, whether it's offering a blessing of some fruits or some corn that goes out to the squirrels and whatever other critters you have in your yard. And then also thinking about what you can clear out of your house. How can you bless somebody else with what you have in excess of? How can you clear out something within yourself, within your soul, within your spirit, within your person? What do you want to let go of and get rid of so that you create space, so that you feel like you can breathe more fully, you can breathe purely, cleanly, clearly, because you're letting go of that weight that's on your shoulders, that burden that's within yourself, some habit that drives you crazy. Let go of it. This is a great time of year. Just let go of it and then clear that space. And then when you let go of it, and as you do that process, think about the space you're creating so that you can allow those blessings to come in. We have 3 harvest festivals coming up. The other times of year are much shorter as far as which season we're celebrating. This part, we have 3 clearly defined harvest festivals. In the winter, we really have Yule as really our winter festival. In the summer, we have primarily the summer solstice. We sort of have 3 spring festivals, but quite often we think of Yule and Imbolc both as winter, because Yule is December and Imbolc is February. And so often both of those really feel more like February, even though we're starting to have the early signs of spring here. So it's just another way to look at the wheel and how it's divided, between the winter and the summer, the 3 springs and the 3 falls, although it feels much more like the fall harvest now. It's a little bit more clearly defined with the fall festivals. So think about what you want. You have this huge, bountiful time that's getting ready to come into your life right now. How can you take advantage of it? How can you clear space? How can you ask what you want, name what you want, think of what you want in your life, claim it, and then ask that that be yours. Also, just, enjoy it. Sing, dance, walk in the woods. How can you do things that will just open you up to enjoy it? Maybe you like baking bread. This is the perfect time of year to start baking bread. It's the perfect time of year to go walking in the woods. We're going to be getting colder pretty soon, so this is the time of year to take advantage of it. If you don't like to dance in public, dance by yourself. Dance under the moonlight. Enjoy your time and just really seize this season, seize this whole month and make it yours. Thank you for watching us at Earth and Sky. Please remember to like the Facebook page down below. If you're watching us on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. If you want to get our videos a little bit sooner than everybody else is notified, hit the little bell button right next to the subscribe button and you'll be the first to get to know when our videos are coming out. I thank you all so much, and join us in just a moment for meditation.